I mean, is your name Paul?
Yes, sir.
You're the person trying to
Yes, sir.
save all nations, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, I got a question for you. What's your nationality? Yeah, keep going all the way.
All the way through. Okay, 68 through 71. He brought them deliverance, and he has raised a horn of salvation. Verses. He has raised the horn of salvation for us in the house of David, his servant, just as he has spoken through the mouth of his holy prophets from of old, of a salvation from our enemies and from the hand of all those hating us.
What I'm saying is this right here, all the things it said raise up a horn of salvation for us, possessive, redeemed his people, the Israelites, right? Yeah. To save them from their enemies. Yes. So salvation is being saved from your enemies. That doesn't mean the enemies can now be saved as well. Yeah. So that means salvation can't be for everybody. Now, when Israel is saved from their enemies, does that mean the enemies can now be saved too?
According to Sicarii Dallas, the enemies of the Israelites cannot be saved.
I need you to understand that, because if that's the case, that means salvation cannot be for the enemies.
That means salvation cannot be for the enemies. That means salvation cannot be for the enemies.
Matthew chapter 10. And a man's enemies will be those of his own household.
Let me finish, brother.
Yes.
That Israel will be saved from their enemies.
Exactly.
That's why it says enemies will be those of his own household. That we should be saved from our enemies. Our right there contextually is Israel. Saved from our enemies in the hand of all that hate us.
You're totally right.
So that it's not talking about the enemies of Abraham. Household. It's talking about the enemies
of Israel, right?
So yes.
Thank you.
Now, when Israel is saved from their enemies, does that mean the enemies can now be saved too? Now that we've come to an agreement on that, on who this is talking to and what this is talking about, and how it says the enemies, how it says Israel should be saved from their enemies, can those enemies now get salvation?
And a man's enemies will be those of his own household.
That means salvation cannot be for the enemies. Now, when Israel is saved from their enemies, does that mean the enemies can now be saved too?
And a man's enemies will be those of his own household.
Yeah.
And a man's enemies will be those of his own household.